Yo, this goes out to my everyday ladies. Where my everyday ladies at? J-O-Y is my jam. If you don't know that, you don't know who I am. J-O-Y is my jam. If you don't know that, you don't know who I am. You can't stop this. You can't rock this. Joy, 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 joy. You can't stop this. You can't rock this. Joy, joy, joy. I know I'm an ordinary white-skinned middle-aged mom, and I'm about to drop this lyrical bomb. Yeah, I'm a Jesus freak, so you know I gotta turn up. Gotta have joy, cause it's part of my worship. I love to put a smile on your face with a style that embraces His love and His grace. So when you're feeling down, just know what's important. Psalm 35 says, joy comes in the morning. A soccer mom living life to the fullest. Used to drive a minivan, cause I know I'm the coolest. I don't spit rhymes, but I'll still leave you drooling. You can do all things, you were made in His newness. Joy, 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 joy. We gotta have joy, 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 joy. You can't stop this, you can't rock this. Joy, 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 joy. J-O-Y is my jam. If you don't know that, you don't know who I am, yo. Thank you, thank you. I am Holly Mutlu. I am so honored to be a part of this awesome day today. If you can't tell, I get a little bit excited. Now, one of the things that I just learned is that my outfit reflects my personality. So what does this say, yo? White girl comes out rapping in a hot pink fur coat. What is gonna happen next? We have no idea. I wanted to share with you all today 5 keys. Now, look, check this out. I even brought keys. I got 5 keys here to unlock the joy in your life. See, so many times what we do is we lock our doors. When I think about my home and I'm getting ready to go to bed at night, what do? I lock my door. Why? Because I don't want anyone to come in. I want to protect myself and my home. But what happens? Sometimes I forget to unlock the door, and I go to let my dog out, and I'm stuck. The door is stuck. Yeah, I'm gonna just like rock right here. The door is stuck, and what I realized is I've locked myself in. How many times have we gone to lock the door of our hearts only to lock ourselves in instead of locking someone out? And at the same time, what we're doing is we're preventing goodness from coming in and the junk we've been hanging on to from going out. And so today, what we're going to do is we are going to unlock some stuff so that we can get our joy back. Because too many people are walking around and we got these smiles on our faces. Oh, I'm so good. And yet on the inside, we're not good at all. And so what I want to do today is I want us to unlock our joy. Now, I'm going to go to my notes for a minute because y'all, I could just go who knows where. Okay, so this is just to keep me focused. Because I'm a little, you think I'm rapping, you don't even know. So, okay. So, when was the last time in your life that you truly unlocked joy? Can you think about that for a second? The last time that you were in a situation, no matter what it looked like, that you unlocked joy. Now, I can tell you that a few years ago, my husband and I went to a wedding. And when I was at the wedding, there was a bunch of, I'm going to say famous people there in the sports world. like a bunch of Buckeyes players, Ohio State, if you're a Buckeyes fan, okay? So my husband, this almost like he wanted Jim Tressel's autograph, and Jim Tressel walks in the room. This is totally not a part of my message, but it's just funny. And so Jim Tressel walks in the room, and he's like, babe. And I'm like, dude, don't be that guy. Because there's always that guy in the room, and he goes, I'm just going to casually walk by. And when I do, he doesn't talk like that. It's just me making it sound a little better. And so he goes, but when I do, I want you to just kind of get a picture in him in the background. And I'm like, I ain't doing it. Like, nobody's there. Like, the wedding's over, and it's like we're at cocktail hour, right? And so there's not a whole lot of people, but Jim Tressel walks in the door, and everybody's like, ooh. So my husband was that guy. I mean, this is like his idol. So I said, no, don't do that. And he said, I better get a picture before we leave tonight, or we're going to need marital counseling. And I'm like, okay. So we go to leave, but at this wedding, what happens? Okay, can I just tell you that at the time I was wearing extensions in my hair. I throw them in and out every now and again. I love extensions. And so, but something happened that week that my hairstylist was not able to get me in for a nice little touch-up. So I'm walking around, and I've got like extensions falling out, okay? Yeah, it was hot. And so then I'm walking, and I got these great wedges on because shoes are like my thing. Joy is my jam, and the next it's Jesus, and then shoes. And so I'm walking through. I'm just kidding. And so, kind of. So I'm walking through the wedding, and all of a sudden, my wedge detaches itself and I'm like in the middle of the floor, so I've got extensions coming out, and my shoes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a wreck. And I just let that ruin my night. And so then last summer, my husband and I are at a wedding, and I've got a picture of us because don't we look cute? Isn't he handsome? I landed me a good one. He's just as sweet as he is handsome. I say that because he's sitting in the back. And so you look at this picture, and does it not look like social media perfect? Okay, I want to tell you something. I was on steroids. So I had what I would refer to as roid rage every once in a while. Like there was just nothing. I had a bad case of poison ivy that we couldn't get under control. I also had arthritis in my foot that I was just jacked up. So I'm like on steroids, like big time. My husband, the poor guy, my kids had no idea what kind of mood I was gonna be in. And so we've got this wedding for one of his college buddies' kids. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go. I'd put on some pounds, I'd swelled up a little bit. I'm still a little swollen, but it's only because I liked the food so much, I decided to keep eating it. And so the steroids, though, had me swelled up. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy this cute little dress, and it's just gonna hug me in all the right places, and it's just going to be perfect. I'm just going to, it is what it is. I've got some new curves. Let's just embrace them. And so we go to this wedding, and we are having an absolute blast, okay? However, the wedding was outside in like 85-degree weather. And this dress that you see in the picture it's a very, very fine, cheap cotton. I'm not even going to say fine, thin, anything. It was a cheap dress. It was like $20. I didn't care, okay? I just needed a dress to fit me for the wedding. So it was really thin and fine. And we were outside, and it was hot. And I started to sweat in places that I did not know I had, okay? And so then there's this woman in front of us, and I use the word woman. She was like maybe mid-20s, okay? I love young ladies that are in their mid-20s because I remember those days. Okay, first of all, bladder control. Okay, let me just say that. Secondly, your body is in optimal, prime position, like you are in, like for me, okay? That's how I like to think that, right? Now that my body parts are breaking down. But so I'm like looking at this woman, and I'm elbowing my husband, and I'm like, honey, look at this lady. Now, I want to tell you that my husband and I, we do not like check other people out. That's just not how we roll, okay? So it wasn't anything like it's just something, a mutual respect thing we have for each other. But I'm like, babe, you cannot notice God's beauty in this, like God handcrafted this woman, and you have to. And he was like, this is kind of awkward, babe. What am I supposed to say right now? So I'm sweating in all these places that I had no idea existed, and the woman in front of me is just glistening. And I'm like, oh, that's fair. So the wedding gets over, and it felt like a really long time just because we were sitting in the heat of the sun. And then my husband is really, really funny. Okay, so I grew up in church, and in church, if you weren't allowed to laugh, it got that much funnier. And that was the way it was at the wedding. We're trying to be all serious, but my husband's like being all funny, and I'm sitting there trying to keep from laughing. And so he's just like, whatever. So the wedding's over. We're going in. Now, my husband has a twin. So do I. Praise God, we did not have twins. God knew better. And so, but my husband's twin is just as funny as my husband. So when they get together, it's double the pleasure, double the fun, double the trouble, what the gum, whatever. And so we get together. We're all sitting at the table. Now, when we get up, actually, I got to step back for a second. When we get up to go walk into where the reception is that was air conditioned, hallelujah, we get up, we start walking, and I'm like, honey, I think I need you to stand behind me. I had this nice pinstripe right down my back of sweat. So I'm like, I need you. And he does what any good husband would do. Okay, babe, I got your back. And he walks right behind me. So he's going, and we go inside. And so I'm like, let's just grab, like, the first table, like, right as soon as we get in. Because I just need to sit down and, not show my stuff. And so we sit down. And so the way it's set up is, like, say the entrance was right here. Okay, the entrance is here. We grabbed this first table right here. Okay, dance floor is right here. Just want to preface that. So we're sitting in our little corner, and, the music's going. I'd been laughing, so I have a little bit of this leaky bladder syndrome that when I laugh so hard, my bladder cries, okay? And so that's what happened is we had been there, we'd been laughing, all this stuff. So I've now got a pinstripe on the back of my dress and then like a little tiny bladder spot. All I was wearing was a girdle, okay? I did not come prepared for this. I should have worn something a little, I don't know, but it is what it is, okay? So I'm laughing, we're giggling, I have no bladder control. I decide to get up and go to the bathroom and try to just kind of somehow, so I go up to go to the bathroom, come back, sit down. My husband then decides to go to the bathroom, okay? He does, it's no big thing for him. He's not sweating in weird places. So he goes, and then this great song comes on. So my sister-in-law is like, it's my jam. And I'm like, mine too. I get up and I'm like, boom. Okay, but remember, we're like in the very front. So like all these tables back here, there's like 75 people. And I'm right up front. And I'm like, I'm shaking what my mama gave me, right? And so then this guy walks by and he yanks on the back of my dress. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, your dress was stuck inside of your girdle. And I'm like, yes. Dude, and I'm thinking like he's hitting on me. And I'm like, I'm married, man. Did you not just see my husband went to the bathroom? No, not really. I didn't really think he was hitting on me. But I'm like, dude, why are you yanking on my dress? So I'm sitting there, and I'm in this predicament now because my backside has been shown to everyone behind me, and I'm dancing, right? So I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep dancing. What else is there to do, right? What I needed to do, what I wanted to do, what I would have done several years ago was stop, drop, and roll. Remember that? Stop, crawled under the table, made my husband go get the coat, the keys, the car, everything, and I'd be crawling out of there. At this point, I'm thinking, I looked at my husband and I said, we're the only sober people here, but we probably look the drunkest. Just saying it how it is. None of them care. They didn't care. Although I will say that all night long, everybody was laughing at me or watching us. I didn't care. I was like, you're not going to remember this tomorrow. Only I am. So, but what I like to say is if you look at this picture, you have no idea that I'm sitting in a pile of urine. And my husband's pretending like everything's just fine because this is his normal, okay? Poor guy. I love you, sweetie. And, but we look at social media and we see these perfect pictures of everything. And you guys, there's so much more, right? So this is a chapter in my book. One of my girlfriends, after reading the book, goes, I just had to go on Facebook and go look up that picture from the wedding. And I was like, have at it. So if you get the book, you can go on Facebook. This is the picture that's there. But what I want to tell you is that night, when I went to get dressed, I could have said, what if? What if this happens? What if I wet myself. I didn't think of any of those things, right? Like I wasn't thinking the what ifs. Because to me, what if is nothing but fear. Right? I don't live in fear. I used to live in fear. Joy has not always been my jam. I know it's probably hard to believe, but it hasn't. And so I lived in a state of fear, and I thought, I'm not going to live in this state of what if, okay? Not doing that. Not doing that anymore. What I can do is look and live in a state of what is. Fact. What is I wet myself. It is what it is, and I'm going to go dance anyway. Or I could live in the state of faith, even if. Even if everybody thinks I'm crazy, I'm still having a great time. So many times we get stuck in the what if that we don't make it to what is or even if. And I want to challenge you today to live not necessarily in the what ifs. Let's just ditch the what ifs, okay? I want you to look at what is. And if you can't get through what is, I want you to go to, even if the worst case scenario happens, I can still live through it. I am still going to push through. So that is our choices today, ladies. I haven't even got to point one, yo. Listen. So we're going to start with key number one, okay? It's kind of an introduction. The key number one is to live a life of faith over fear. It's our choice. Faith and fear cannot coexist. They are not roommates. They can't stay in the same place at the same time. It just doesn't work out that way. You're choosing one or the other. You get to choose either faith or fear. And Shanna talked earlier about the thought process. We've heard a lot about our thoughts. Listen, our mind, our thoughts is what chooses faith over fear. We choose either to walk in fear in the what if, or we choose to walk in faith of even if. For so long, I struggled with anxiety and depression. And when it comes back and it tries to taunt me and torture me, I look at it and I go, even if, and I fill in the blank, worst case scenario happens, I'm still good. It's all, like that's where the faith steps in, right? I got to be completely honest with you about something. So we came here for a meeting a few weeks ago. I've never been in this building before. It's absolutely beautiful, wonderful location. This is amazing. Y'all, I feel like I'm just getting spoiled like nobody's business. And so we come here. I'm afraid of heights. Okay? We're in this little small library room, and I'm secretly like talking myself through, okay, Holly, just keep breathing. Like I'm going through the, nope, not going to deal with the what ifs. What is, I'm in a tall building. It is structurally sound. Even if, well, there really isn't an even if, okay? We're good right here. Even if I start to get real crazy, they're serving wine. So I'm just kidding. But you go through, I was so, like, I literally had to walk myself through. I don't think that you ladies had any idea. I'm sitting there just like I'm all a little pretty and, yeah, okay, this is great. Oh my gosh, this food is just wonderful. Take a deep breath, Holly, take a deep breath. And I'm smiling through it. I am petrified of heights. And so we come up, and I'm like, and then we're going through, and I'm like, oh, yes. And the elevator ride was just so, I hate roller coasters. And the elevator ride was like a roller coaster to me. Can I tell you, when loading up the stuff this morning, we hit floor 28 instead of 29, or the Racket Club floor. So the arrow button had gone back down, so we actually missed the floor by one and then had to go all the way back to the bottom and then come all the way back up. And I'm like, thank you, God. I hear you totally teaching me. Even if, no, it's not bad. Nope, we're not going. It's even if, you know what? Even if, no matter what happens, God's got this thing, and I don't have to worry about it. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible says that if I hold my peace, he's going to fight my battle. And there are certain times where I just have to hold my peace and go. If you're taking notes, you can say Exodus 14:14, if you guys want that. But there are certain times where I need to hold my peace. Not my peace. Just clarifying. Sometimes I need to just hold my peace. Holding my pee isn't as easy. And so I can hold my mouth shut more than I can. If you see me do this, I'm sneezing, laughing, or something, okay? Anybody got the leg cross thing? Okay, you don't have to raise your hands. Every woman's in the room's gone like, yes. But if I hold my peace, he's going to fight that battle. So in my mind, I'm like, why am I even worried about this thing? Like, God's got this. I'm choosing faith over fear. Now, what's on the other side of fear? Freedom. So here I am going up this tall building. Now I'm like, oh, look at the birds doing nosedives. Earlier this morning at the VIP, we're sitting there and there's like birds just going, and I'm like, do you guys see that at all? Like it was, but I'm like, on the other side of fear is freedom. And what I learned to do, and what I've challenged myself to do, is do stuff that scares the crap out of me. And maybe y'all like elevator rides. Maybe y'all like 29th floor. It's absolutely beautiful. But can I tell you that if my former self would have allowed if I was walking in my old ways, I would have never made it to the top of this floor. So this, for me, standing right here over the last few weeks, this is a victory. And for you guys, you might go, okay, for me, this is a huge victory, so I celebrate that. And what I've learned is to celebrate the victories. So right now, today, this morning, or this afternoon now, as I'm walking in this, I am now walking in freedom, where a couple weeks ago, I stepped into the elevator in fear when they hit that top floor. I was like, ooh, didn't know I was going there. But on the other side, see, faith is the bridge from fear to freedom. Faith is the bridge. I can't get to freedom without taking those steps across the bridge in faith. And so I challenge you today, if you have a habit, because for me it was a bad habit of walking in fear. If you have a habit of walking in fear, I want you to choose faith in tiny little things. Choose one thing. One thing. I'm going to go out without my makeup on today. Okay? Then the next thing you know, I'm walking around in Uggs, a sweatshirt. At least I'm wearing a bra, okay? But I'm like, I won't even tell you what's going through my mind right now. But we've got to start someplace, and I want to encourage you, start small. Just start small. I'm not telling you to reach and go crazy, and if you're afraid of heights, go skydiving. I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying, start small. Start where you're at in a place that you can achieve the goal. Because once you achieve that and you get into the side of freedom and you celebrate that small victory, guess what? You're going to want to step in faith even more so. And this confidence starts to build. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, free. Like, whew, what? I unlocked one key of fear with one little step. It starts with one step. I cannot get to the other side of the bridge into freedom without taking a step. So I urge you today, take a step. Only you can decide what you want that step to be. Fear isn't logical. Can I just tell you that? Fear fear lies to us. It convinces us that stupid things, crazy things are going to happen. Fear is not logical. We have to rein fear in. And we have to make our minds think logically. Sometimes, if I'm walking down the street, I go, oh, am I afraid a bear is going to jump out at me? No, that's not logical. But sometimes, and stupid things will come out at me, like this weird thought of a bear. Yeah, okay, in the middle of Dayton. But it's crazy thoughts. It's not logical. As crazy as that might seem, there are times that you are attacked with thoughts of fear that are just as illogical, but they seem real to you because fear can be very convincing in the lies and deception. What was the last thing that fear prevented you from doing? Can you think about that for a second? Was it going to the gym? It was not for me. Just kidding. Is it asking someone to do something for you? For me, I have a hard time asking for things, right? Is it fear of rejection? What is the last thing that you didn't do because you allowed fear to get on the other side? I encourage you to step out and try something new today. What will you choose? Will you choose faith or will you choose fear? The choice is yours. The second key today is forgiveness. Oh, this is a good one. If you want to grow, like as an individual, like you're a self-development person, forgiveness is a great place to start. When I was 3 years old, I think I was around 3, we lived out on a farm. And actually, my twin just bought the family farm. So she's out there now, and I don't have to mow or anything like that and still get to celebrate all the fun things out there. But we were out on the farm, and my mom was pregnant with my younger brother. So my mom was at the doctor's office in town, which was like 25, 30 minutes away. And when you live on a farm and there's, like, you burn fires a lot, okay? Like for days, you burn fires. And by the time you hit day 4, like, it doesn't look like there's a fire. Doesn't look like anything's going on. There's like this gray and white and black ash over the top, right? It just looks like nothing's going on. But beneath that ash are burning embers of coal. And so we were, like, as kids, like, we lived to play outside, okay? So we would play outside. The worst thing that could happen, in my mind, was stepping on a bee in the clover in my bare feet, which we were in our bare feet all the time. So we'd learned how to glide across the gravel so that when we ran, like in my mind, I picture myself like floating, like really like a ballet dancer, but I'm sure it didn't look like that. But like we learned how to do it so it didn't hurt our feet. And so the grass was over here, you got the gravel driveway, and then you got the open field, and then there's this fire that had been burning for days. Well, my twin, Heidi, she and I were chasing the cat. And Heidi's not smarter than me. I just want you to know this, okay? She might be, no, she's not even prettier. I'm just kidding. That's our little joke. She does public stuff too and then talks about how pretty she is. So she is pretty. And so anyways, she's had 9 kids and is skinnier than me. I just want to throw that out there. She's crazy. She's really crazy. Anyways, so Heidi and I were like chasing the cat. And so as we run across the stones, we hit the fire. Heidi goes around it, I think, to cut the cat off. The cat goes over it, and I'm trying to chase the cat too, so I just go right over it, and I sink down in. And I still have scars on my feet to this day. Now, those scars remind me of the fire that I went through, of what I've survived. But at the time, I remember standing there, and it's like a weird memory because there's like pieces that come in and out, right? And my dad's like 6'2" or 4 or something. I don't know. Do you shrink when you get older? I don't know. But I was like probably 2 foot. So, he seemed like this. And I remember him coming out, and I remember him scooping me up. And he took me into the house, and he sat me on the counter of the bathroom and dangled my little feet into the sink, and he starts turning on cold water, and I'm screaming bloody murder. And the next thing I know, I'm at the hospital, and I'm in like this cage, which we know to be a crib. And my grandparents brought me this teddy bear that seemed like it was this big, but it turns out I was like that small, and so it felt really big and lifelike. And I remember that teddy bear being like a source of comfort for me in the crib. And then I remember, this is going to tell you my age, I'm 46, that the nurses that would come in, they had the white caps on. Remember the white caps? And then the white dress and the white pantyhose and then the really white, weird-looking shoes. And so that they probably look like these that I'm wearing today. And so, but I remember her coming in, and I remember the dread of her coming in. Because what would happen is eventually, so it was a few days, I had a couple surgeries, and then they say, okay, Holly, you got to get up and walk. And in my 3-year-old little mind, I'm going, why are you going to make me walk? It hurts. I want to stay comfortable. Don't make me walk. And that mean lady in the white outfit and the ugly hat picked me up out of that crib, and she grabbed me by both hands like you would teach a toddler to walk. And she starts walking me, and she says, it's okay, baby girl, I got you. It's okay, you got to learn to walk again. And I'm like, I don't want to. Why are you making me do this? This hurts. So often in our lives, we want to stay inside of our cribs because it hurts too much to walk. And when we don't forgive, you know what we do? We leave ourselves inside of this prison, this crib, and we can't get out. I was helpless on my own. I needed that nurse who was committed to my healing. I needed her to pick me up, to tell me, you, baby girl, are going to do this, and you can do this, and you can't do it on your own right now, but I'm going to help you through this. That's what God does for us. But God's not going to force us the way the nurse forced me. God's going, come on, baby girl. Like, you hold the key. You hold the key. You're sitting inside of that prison. And you are not wanting to forgive that person because of the pain and the trauma that they've caused your life. And while you have every right to feel the way that you do, is it getting you anywhere? No, we're locked in. So when you forgive someone, you're not saying what you've done to me is okay. You're not saying my pain doesn't count. What you are doing is you are taking and you are inserting the key and you are opening it up. And you are opening the door so that you can crawl out. You don't need to do it on your own. God's right there with you. We think that we have to be superpower women. And yes, by golly, we are. But not on my own. I don't walk on my own. I've got my Father, my Heavenly Father, who is standing here and he's going, Holly, come on, we got this. A few years ago, I don't know what happened. But my best friend, do you have that? Like, there's a best friend in my life, and we were soul sisters, you know, like sisters from different misters and, you know, whatever else we can say, right? So, but you have that connection. Those friendships, those relationships are once in a lifetime. And for whatever reason, I did something, or something in her mind, in her world, happened. I had been making changes that God had impressed upon my heart to make. And sometimes when we make changes, not everybody likes it. And I don't know if the changes that my husband and my family and I were making, if it hurt her, I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, boom, I was cut off from her life. I was ghosted, as they say these days. Can I tell you, for years, that ate me up. We would say, get in contact. Okay, we're good. And then I would go, wait a second. And I was left hurt again. And at one point, she had found how bad I was hurting and crying and so upset because of this grief I was carrying for her and the loss of our friendship. And she says, I'm gonna call and take care of this and talk to Holly. Give me a week or two. A week, 2 weeks, couple months, couple years went by, never heard anything. And eventually I was like, I have to forgive her, because every time her mind comes, or her name comes to my mind, every time I think of something with her, I physically feel sick. And I need to release this. See, what we do with forgiveness is we're either bound by our past hurts or we're bound for freedom. And I was bound in the pain of that past hurt. And I needed to release that. I had reached out to her on numerous occasions, never heard anything back. At one point, she reached out to me, but I was like, nah, I'm not in a position right now to talk to you. And then this summer, as I began to write my book, I thought, this has to go in the book. And I didn't want her to find out from someone else. Right? I loved her enough and respected her enough. Now, I had made the commitment to forgive her. I just kept having to remind myself. Because forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a commitment. It's a decision that we make, and then we have to remind ourselves when those ugly feelings come back. We have to remind ourselves that I already forgive this person. I just have to remind, and then my emotions eventually will follow. So I reached out to her. And she responded, and I got together with her, and it was like I had nothing negative towards her. She had nothing negative towards me. And the two of us, after years of playing these silly little games, sat down and we cried together and said, we don't know what happened. And I said, I don't want to rehash anything in the past. Like, it's ugly. We both know it got ugly. I don't even care what happened. I'm not here about that. I don't know what's going to happen with our friendship, but I do want you to know that all this pain, I'm not going to allow it to be in vain. There are other women out there who have gone through these same situations, and maybe not with friendships. Maybe it's with a divorce. Maybe it's with a sibling, a parent, a child that are going through these things. And I'm like, this is not going to go in vain. And I want to tell you today that when you forgive someone, you will not feel all happy and good in that moment. Isn't that a great motivational quote right there? But I'm telling you, when you make the commitment to change, when you make that commitment to forgive, you unlock the key to the prison that you've locked yourself in. There's a difference between fault and responsibility. Was it her fault that our relationship, in my eyes, yes, it was her fault. But it was my responsibility to heal myself, not hers. She couldn't do that for me. And so I ask you today, who is it in your life? Is there anyone in your life that you need to forgive? Is there any situation in your life that you need to look at? I'm not asking you. Here's how you know you've healed. You know you've healed when you can think of that person's name, that situation, that whatever it is, and you don't feel all ugly inside. You don't feel like you need to go take a shower. You can just go, oh, yeah. But forgiveness, if you unlock the door to forgiveness, which only you have the power to do. That other person, they can apologize all they want. Somebody can apologize to me. It doesn't mean that I have to forgive them. Forgiveness is a decision that we make that will unlock our freedom. It's not about letting the other person off the hook. Unforgiveness, it keeps us tied to that negative situation. And when you unlock the key, you unlock the chains that keep you tied. So I encourage you today to unlock the key to forgiveness. It's your choice. Forgiveness is walking again after you've been burnt. And it does not feel good. Does not feel good. But you can't stay in the crib, because otherwise you'll never walk again. And while it's comfortable in the crib, it ain't joyful in there. Joy does not live in comfort. Joy lives in stepping out in faith and walking into freedom. Okay, so key number 3. I'm going to tell you, feel it. Joy and pain can coexist. They can live together. They can live together under the same roof, and life can be good. The question is, what are you going to do with it? You guys remember, okay, I'm like a huge, okay, so my book cover has me in MC Hammer pants, okay, because I like the 90s, okay? That's just my jam. It's my thing. It's what I did. I don't know. It's crazy. I actually bought the pants 2 years ago, told my sisters I was bringing them back. It did not happen. I wore them to the mall. They refused to be seen with me, so I said, I'm going to put it on a book cover. Boom, showed them. Now they're really embarrassed to be seen with me. But one of my favorite songs from the early 90s was from Rob Bass. Boom. Yeah, okay, y'all, I got some ladies who probably get down with me at a wedding here, okay? And so Rob Bass says, joy and pain, sunshine and rain. Okay, singing, sister, come on. So, but they can live together. And what happens is when we recognize the fact that we have pain, we can also recognize the fact that we have joy. See, we would not know what joy was if we did not have pain. I don't know about you guys, but I grow in moments of pain. I was talking earlier, my family took a vacation a couple weeks ago, and we went zip lining in the mountains. And my husband plays soccer like 3 times a week, and he's like, I'm in shape, I got this. He's 10 years older than me, so I kind of thought I might have a little bit of like something, but I'm totally out of shape. So he's just like, so we're going up the mountain, and I'm ahead of him, and he's back there going, I thought I was in better shape than you. And then I'm like, gotcha. I don't know what I was just, anyways. But that day, our legs, they were burning so bad. They were burning so bad. But you know what else was happening that day? I was ziplining in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, okay? So I'll walk through. I'll let my legs burn because the view when you're flying is amazing. And so if I wasn't willing to go through the burn, I wasn't going to get to fly high. And so sometimes we got to go through the pain in order to get to the place where we're going to be able to understand the joy that we have in our lives. We think that joy and pain are completely separate. And we think about sunshine and rain, completely separate. But when they show up at the same time, when sunshine and rain show up at the same time, what happens? We get a rainbow. Now here's the thing. We know to look for a rainbow when it's raining and when the sun's out, right? So when you see that over here the sun's out but then there's rain, you go, okay, I gotta look toward the sun so that I can see the rainbow. But in life, we have joy and pain, and a lot of times we just want to focus in on the pain and go, oh, it's raining. It's raining, men. Hallelujah. Okay, sorry, I just can't help it. Music comes to my mind. I don't know. And so, but we're looking at the rain over here, and that's all we're focusing in on is the rain. It's the pain. And if I just shift my perspective just a little bit, and I'm willing to go, yes, it is raining over here. However, the sun is shining over here. And in my life right now, I can choose to look for the rainbow. But so often, we decide we're just going to look at the rain. So when joy and pain come together, it is like sunshine and rain. And you have the ability to look for the rainbow. And to me, the rainbow, as a Christian, my faith, the rainbow is a promise from God to me. And so in the midst of those moments where I'm suffering from pain, but also able to experience joy, I also know that in that pain, I can look for what? God's promise. And you can too. So what are you going to look for today? What are you going to look for? You've got to feel it. You've got to feel. Now listen, I am all about feeling your feelings, but I also am all about feelings are like toddlers. If you don't train them, they'll train you. Okay? So we got to know, we got to feel the feeling, recognize that feeling, and understand what we're supposed to do with it, which is a whole nother session. I'll save that. So, but here's the thing is, I want you to feel the pain, but don't get stuck there. I want you to feel the joy. Don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck in your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings. Let them do what they're supposed to do and continue to go on. So key number 4 is focus. Do y'all notice that these all start with F's? I'm dropping some major F-bombs today. Sorry, I couldn't help it. But it's the focus. Where are you going to focus? Our perception is our reality. We keep asking ourselves the question, why? When something happens to me, why? Why is it, God, why is this happening? When the question should not be why, but the question should be what now? Or what can I learn from this? Right, see this glass of water? I'm going to chug it for a second. And y'all are supposed to be chanting, chug, chug, chug. This glass of water has been emptied numerous times because I've been chugging it today, and it keeps getting refilled. And I'm reminded of my husband and I in January, on January 9th, 1999, we had a stillborn daughter. We have 4 boys that are absolutely amazing. And the 2 older boys, I am not old enough to have a 31-year-old. Thank you very much, okay? He's my stepson. Again, my husband's 10 years older than me. However, the older 2, I did have the honor of raising since they were 7 and 9. So I claim them as my own. And when I'm feeling ornery, I will make people think I am a lot older than what I really am. But we have 4 boys, and then we had 2 more together. But before we had the other 2 boys, we had a daughter. And unknowingly, we were at almost 7 months pregnant, and I had miscarried twice before. And unknowingly, something was weird, and I just felt weird. And we were laying in bed one night. There'd been a couple snowstorms. I had a doctor's appointment that week. I had to cancel because my car was literally snowed in. And so I was laying in bed one night, and my husband looks at me. He says, you okay, babe? You were going to go to sleep? And I said, I just want to feel her move one more time. and then I'll go to sleep. And I laid in bed that night, and I fell asleep, but I never felt her move. And the next morning, we got up, he went to work, he did his thing, and without getting too graphic, there was just a few things when I went to the bathroom that just kind of set off an alarm. And I called my doctor, and I was considered high risk just because of my miscarriage. And so I had called the doctor. They said, we just want to put your mind at ease. Just come on into the hospital. However, the hospital that I went to was completely snowed in because, again, we're in a snowstorm, right? So it snowed again. So I had to go to a different hospital that had no idea who the people were. They didn't know me, but it was the closest one to my house. And so I remember going into the hospital room, and they put this belt on me with a monitor, and they just keep moving this monitor around, and I don't know what's going on. And then the next thing I know, they take me back for an ultrasound, which I'd had numerous ultrasounds, right? So when you go for the ultrasound, I'm waiting for them to go, oh, look at her this, look at her little feet, look at her. There's nothing. It's total silence. And I remember going back into the room and just sitting there, and this nurse comes in, and she's absolutely sobbing. And she says, I'm sorry, but your daughter is dead. And this poor thing, her brother-in-law had been diagnosed with cancer that morning. So she's having a horrible, but she's stuck in the hospital because of a snowstorm, and then here I come. Okay. Now, I'd been in ministry for years. So my heart automatically, when I see somebody cry, goes to, let me comfort them. So I look at her and I say, listen, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be just fine. Everything happens for a reason. And I know that. God's got this. And then we get in the car, and I look at my husband, and I said, let's go get a pack of cigarettes. Because why not? In my mind, really. They had told me that they said, you're going to have to give birth to her, and you're going to want to hold her, and you're going to want to get pictures with her, and in my mind, honest to goodness, can I be 100% real and transparent with you? I was thinking, ooh, why would I want to hold a dead baby? It's like I was completely detached from this entire situation that was going on. And then I called my doctors, let them know. They said, okay, come on in. We're going to induce you, whatever. And so we went through all that. And my sisters were there. My husband was there, gracious, wonderful. They drugged me up real good, so it seemed like a dream. And then I remember having her, and then just remember holding her, and then just thinking, I was supposed to be giving birth to life. And instead, I've been handed death. But I'm a Christian, and so I've got to make this look really good. And so I'm going to trust God. And I did. I trusted God. But what I didn't realize is sometimes, like I said, we have to go through the feelings. There's this human process that we have called grieving. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to go back to life as normal. My husband was totally cool with going back to life as normal. Let's just go back to life. So what I did was I just decided to just go back to life. And the next thing I know, I find myself in and out of the ER nonstop with panic attacks. However, I'm convincing the doctors that I swear I'm having a heart attack and dying. I'd never had a panic attack before. And this thing began to torture me. So I decided it's probably, I don't know how many visits we went to the ER. Honey, do you remember? I don't remember. And it's probably time that I get help. So I went to a counselor and got help and got meds. Praise God for meds. I'm sorry. Some of y'all might just be like, but I needed them. And so I got the help that I needed. But I remember sitting there one day, and I was focusing on this glass. And my glass was supposed to be full. And I remember looking at it going, is it half empty or is it half full? Because God, I wanted a full glass. When I got pregnant with that baby, God, I was having that baby. And that glass was supposed to be full. Do you know what I heard him say? It is full. It's not full of necessarily what you wanted, but it's full. When we look at this glass, we see half full, half empty. But what we don't see is the air in the top of the glass. This glass is actually full. When I'm thirsty for water, I don't want to drink air. It's not what I want, right? I was telling God, I want more water. And he's like, but I'm the air that you breathe. You need me. So you know what happens? The more I drink of this water, the more of God can fill in this cup. God had to empty me of my stuff. And as I was dumped out with my stuff and what I expected from God and what I expected from this life and what I wanted, as I was dumped out, you know what that did? It made more room for him. So I began to decide, I'm going to look at this glass a lot different. It may not be full of what I want, but it's definitely full of what I need. Now, I don't know where you all stand with your faith, but I want to tell you that in life, you have the ability to decide how you're going to look at this glass. I want to tell you that my glass should be shattered. It really should be. But the way God had that, he had it encased in his hands because there was a plan and a purpose. Little did I know that while Mia never took a breath outside of my womb, her life has now impacted thousands of lives. Because we started holding a bereavement ceremony for mothers who had lost children on Mother's Day every year for several years. Whether they'd lost children to car accidents as adults, whether it was infants, whether it was miscarriages, whether it was abortion, whatever it was, they needed healing. And while Mia never took a breath of this air, God used her life for that. Now here you are. How long you been here? You don't really have to answer that. God wants to use your life. And every day we wake up, we have the ability, we're breathing in that air, we're breathing in fresh life, we're breathing in all these things. But are we breathing in the air that God wants to use to fill our lives with purpose? See, we think that pain is our enemy. Listen, pain is the fuel that propels you to your purpose. Everything that I do about joy came from the root of pain. I stand up here, I got the smile. Listen, I live this life of joy. Why? Because it's a choice. I can choose to stay. There are some days where I literally want to just pull the covers up over my head and say, I'm staying in bed all day. I don't want to face the world. But I say, nah, baby, nah. God has been too good to me. I've got too much going on here. So much has come against me that's the very thing that fuels my purpose. So I'm not going to give any room to this thing that tries to taunt me with depression and anxiety. So I'm going to choose joy regardless of what the situation looks like. I'm going to choose to look at my glass as completely full, regardless of what it's full of. Whether it's something that I wanted, something that I needed, or something God needed. I'm not telling you to deny your situation today. No. I want you to accept it. I want you to feel it. I want you to embrace it. And I want you to know that you need to focus in on that power that hides behind that pain. And that purpose that is being planted in the midst of that pain. Erica spoke earlier this morning and she was talking about those moments. Those moments of pain are those moments that pivot us into the place of greatness to get us to where we need to go. But the question is, what am I going to do with it? Key number 5. To me, this is the key of all keys. This is the big key. This is the master key to unlock everything. And that's having a friendship with the one that created you. Listen, can I tell you something? I can buy joy. Y'all look at me like I'm crazy. Have you not ever gotten an awesome pair of shoes on clearance? Come on now. That's joy. Hallelujah. It's not real joy, but it gives me the feeling and then the sensation of joy, right? It's joy. But you know it's superficial joy. Do you know what superficial joy is like? Chinese food. It tastes so good, but you're hungry an hour later. Okay, superficial joy feels so good, but it's not sustaining. Authentic joy, the joy that comes from having a friendship with your Creator, do you know what that is? That's thanksgiving. That is I'm so full, I got to unbutton my pants and kick back kind of full joy. Okay, I want to encourage you to reach out. I'm not trying to be weird or anything like that, but there is a God that created you. Not because of anything except for that he wanted you in his life. And when you get to that center, when you get to that, then you know what happens when we get in friendship with the God that created us, our Creator? We find out who we are because we are a reflection of him. And so when I get to know him a little bit more, then I get to know who I am a little bit more. And then I'm able to shift that pain and that stuff that I'm going through, and I'm able to see that he does have a plan and a purpose for my life, even though it sucks right now. Can I tell you today that he has a plan and a purpose for your life? For the pain that you're either going through or you've been through or you're gonna go through? You weren't planted here today by accident. No. 400 trillion to 1, what was it? 400 trillion to 1, okay? I'm horrible at math, so I won't even try to multiply how that is, okay? But I will tell you that 400 trillion to 1, and then we're all in the same room at the same time, hearing the same message, says there's something greater at work here. And I want to tell you that the freedom to unlock joy in your life is only found from our Creator. If you want authentic joy, go shopping. Retail therapy. But you want to get real joy, authentic joy? The Bible tells me that in his presence, when I reach out to God and I say, God, I need you, the Bible tells me that in his presence there is fullness of joy. Joy does not mean my life is going to lack pain. It does not mean my life is going to be perfect, right? What it means is in the midst of my pain, in the midst of all this stuff that I'm going through, that if I reach out to my daddy, he's going to pick me up and I'm going to find joy in his arms. Now I want to go back to the farm for just a second as I close. When I was sinking way down in those embers and my feet began to swell and blister, all I had to do was reach my arms up to my daddy. He knew. I didn't have to say a word. Now I was screaming, right? So he really knew. But also as a parent, when my children were toddlers and would walk over to me and they would put their arms up, listen, they never had to say a word. I knew that meant, Mama, pick me up. So wherever you are today, you don't need to say a thing. He is looking for you to just lift your arms. You don't need to physically lift your arms, but emotionally lift yourself to him. And the Bible says that if I draw nigh to him, he will draw nigh. So if I'm reaching out to him, he's going to reach out to me. It takes me. I'm going to reach out to him. So whatever your situation is today, you weren't called to be bound. You were called to be free.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last. has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am a child. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Come on, that's true. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. One more time. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am a child. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I'm a child. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Can I tell you what I love about that song? It says, in my Father's house, there's a place for me. Do you know what he did? He unlocked the door for you. In his presence, there's fullness of joy. In his presence. And all we have to do is reach our arms up. Now, we aren't promised a life without pain. But we are promised that there is joy in the midst of our pain. Come on now. Wrong song.
Joy and pain,
Come on now, stand up.
sunshine and rain. Sing it now, God's children. Joy
Pump it up, pump it up.
And
pain,
Come on, come
come
on.
on now, stand up. I don't care how much y'all.
rain. Everybody sing along. Joy
Pump it up, pump it up.
and pain,
Here we go, here we go. Come on.
sunshine
What else?
and rain. Everybody clap your hands now. Joy
Pump it up, pump it up.
and pain,
Yeah, keep it going now.
sunshine it now, God's children. Joy,
Pump it up, and
pain,
come on, here we go.
sunshine,
Keep it going.
rain.
Let me sing
Joy,
Pump it up,
pain,
here we go, come on.
sunshine,
What else?
rain. Everybody clap your hands now. Joy,
Pump it up,
pain,
yeah, keep it going now.
sunshine,
What else?
rain. Listen to us sing now. Joy,
Pump it up,
pain,
yeah, here we go.
sunshine,
Pump it up,
rain.
yeah.
Come on now, God's children.
Jody, bring it on up. Joy and pain. Me too. We have some fun news for you guys. Here's the real test if I can play piano and talk at the same time. It's keeping me on my toes. No, we created a Spotify playlist for us of songs that inspired all of us as we planned, as we prayed, as we dreamed. So if you just on Spotify look up Unlocked, The Look of You, there's a free playlist of tons of songs. And I'm going to keep adding songs. I'm going to add Joy and Pain. Sometimes you just need a pick-me-up. So if on Spotify you just look up Unlocked and The Look of You, and it will come up.
There you go. Oh, wow, Holly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, ladies, it has been an amazing day together. It's just amazing.
Okay, now you're getting me crying. I just looked at her.
We have a special last gift for all of you.
We do. Our helpers are passing them out. The key is our new symbol when we rebranded.
Yes.
It was chosen for a reason. We not only help you unlock your style and your beauty, but it's more than that. We want to unlock every area of your life that you're bound in, whatever that is. And you're getting these little keys. Our VIPs, you can put them on your lanyards. You can make key rings. You can hang it. You can put it on a necklace at home. But we hope it serves a purpose. And it reminds you of all the speakers that you heard today. You heard motivation, you heard style, you heard beauty, you heard joy. And hopefully something from today sticks. And it stays with you. And it helps you take that step forward to say, I'm no longer going to be locked up in that. Today is the line in the sand, and I'm going to keep stepping forward. Let it remind you on those hard days, because those hard days will come.
Oh, amen.
Especially when you decide, I'm making a change now. Tomorrow, guess what you're going to be faced with?
Oh, something to overcome. Straight up, and you can do it. Because every problem has a solution. I don't care what it is, it all has a solution.
So that's our gift to you. We want to remind you how precious you are, that you are worth the effort to unlock those areas.
Yes. So I believe our helpers are done passing those out, and we have one last way to send you off. So I know those of you who have followed us, you know that I like to dance. I know I wasn't up here.
She
Cindy.
does.
I know.
She
I do.
does.
I love to dance.
She's dragged me along with her.
Yes, and Shanna. But what's even more beautiful is the fact that today, in this moment, all of you beautifuls have had a place to make a new family and new connections, right? And so it's in that we're going to celebrate, because we're all sisters and we're all beautiful. And we are going to celebrate that. So helpers, are you ready? Hold on. I got to get them ready. What is going on? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
This is from your dream team.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
for us
so
and all these
much.
lovely ladies here.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, trying to hold them. Thank you.
They're beautiful.
All right, are we ready? Ladies, my poppers, are we ready? So everybody get on your feet again because we're going to celebrate you.
Are you all ready?
Ready? Let's celebrate! Go!
All right, I think all of you know this song. I think we should sing it together. Say, we are family. I got all my sisters with me. Say, we are family. Head up, everybody, say, we are family. Yes, we are. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. So get up, everybody, and say, here's some truth right here. Listen to these words. Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share. Keep those hands going.